So if you're watching this video, you probably want to know all about my Notion setup for my novel. I use Notion as my Bible. It's my life. I need it. It helps me. So what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to show you my Notion. I've taken out all the information so this can be a template that you can use yourself. Right, so we're going to go transfer over to the computer now. So as you can see, this is my Notion. What I do is I have a couple of works that I've got ideas for or currently working on, or just it's a very rough idea, but I know I want to make a story out of it. So I put project and then ... so you can put in whatever project this is for you. If you want to add another page, you do have to move this up. So sometimes when you're working with Notion, so you want to go here, it'll set you up a new tab just because I've put these pictures here, but you don't have to keep the pictures. Just drag that up so it's under, you see the line now, the blue line, put it there. So if you want to have another project, you put the slash and then see all these options come up. So page is what you're looking for and it makes a page and you have another page to work with. Project, whatever you want it to be. You can work with that. Cool. So we go back to novel. The project, whatever you want it, you can list as many as you like. It's up to you. So this is my main base, if you will. So project, whatever you want to call it. I would then put my book title there if I know my book title already. If not, whatever you want to put. My first page I have, and you can do, if you have different ideas of what you want on your page, you can do exactly what I just did before. Backspace, type in page, and you get a whole new setup. So the first thing I have is plot breakdown. And this is like the J.K. Rowling setup for how she writes a novel. So what I have, because it works quite well for my brain, is chapter, so the chapter number, the plot, just like a brief summary of what's gone on and what is an important aspect of the story thread you're trying to keep a hold of. So I've just written here, just for an example, Tom wants to get to know Amy, so just like a romance office story I've made up really quickly. Amy is trying to get a promotion. So if in chapter 1 you could write, he sees her for the, I can spell, first time. So it's sort of him wanting to get to know her, he's intrigued by her, all that fun stuff. And you can add all that in. This can also become a page. So if you come off that and you click open as a page, all of these cells of, well, the row of the sort of spreadsheet are things you can keep information on. So this is its own page as well. So once you've added more to the columns of the table, they can come here, or you can see them in one main picture if you just want to get some details right. You can also add pictures here, add videos, something, anything you really want, or just literally a play-by-play of how that scene's going to go, if that will help you. So that's what I do, and you can add as much detail or as little detail as you want to do. You can also add a view by clicking here, and you can make it timeline. You can do, I find the timeline only works if it's for projects because it's today's date and it'll show you as it goes what the date is. So it doesn't really work for writing out a timeline for a story, but I've got a way that I do that now. You can gallery view it, you can list whatever you want, you can do. Go back to project, so now I have my timeline. And what I do in my timeline is I will have the title of the scene. So I normally just name this something that happens or something that will remind me what the scene's about. So Amy meets Tom is what I've called this. So this is chapter 1. You can add that to there as well if you want. So I'll just add that for ease. ... chapter 1. So this is chapter 1. The next column is called big events. Now this works for my story that I'm writing now because it's a fantasy setting, it's a big world, it's a lot of information. So that big event works better for those kinds of stories. So for example, in my other story, I would write in big event like if it was a war, because the world that I've created, it goes over like thousands of years. So I wanted to have a full timeline of what happened in the world. So this war lasted for this long, blah, blah, blah. But for the Amy and Tom story that I'm trying to tell now, I would probably skip that because you don't really need it unless you want to talk about life events that happened to them before the story started. It depends what you want. So the date in which this scene takes place, you put time in there as well. I like to put the time in just so I know if it's morning, if it's afternoon, if it's evening, if it's nighttime. Pretty self-explanatory for that one. And then the event. So what happens? They meet at a works party is what I've put there. Again, you can add as much or as little detail as you want to this. It is up to you. The next column I've got is important event. Now what I did for this one is I would add something, again this is from my other story, say if it was a religious event that happened, if it was an economic event that happened, if it was a geographical event, a social event, just something, because my timeline for my other story is big, 1,000 years worth of information, so I wanted to know what effect that would have on people throughout this world. So if it's an economic disaster, obviously there's going to be a lot of food shortages, there's going to be a lot of that, and that helped me work out some major details in my history of my other worlds. So this timeline has been helpful. You can organise it in whatever way you want, and then you can also open this up like it's a big page, add any information, pictures you want, whatever. One thing that we have as well with this is you can add a icon. So I'll put, well, that's a little train, that's kind of cute. I'll put a flower. It's the first time they've met. And then back here, where it doesn't seem like there's anything, you get the option to add a cover. Now what I like about adding covers is you can add a cover that they have preset for you. You can upload something from your own images. If you have a link online, so say if I went onto my internet, put roses, that's the first time they're meeting. So you would click on that. I find it's better if you get something that's pretty big, like a big image, because otherwise it gets a smidge grainy. All you've got to do is click copy image address, click over there, go back to your thing and paste that in, submit, and it will come up there. You see what I mean? It's a smidge grainy, so if I had more time I'd find a better picture, but it passes the test. Whatever you can do. Right, so my next thing I have is character charts. So here I've made Amy. You can then use this as a guide and make your own characters. So, Amy. This first bit here where I am, so you can do her eye colour, skin colour, hair colour, just general things you need to know. And there's a reason I put it like that, so I'll tell you in a minute. Key information about her, so maybe you just want to know stuff like about her past. Maybe she's got a child. Maybe she's lost her parents. Maybe her mum and her don't have a great relationship. I don't know, whatever you need to just have to hand that information. I've got relationships here because I think it's important to know these things. I change this for a character to character basis because some, they've got love interests but no friends, and then some have got friends but no love interests, and vice versa. Or enemies or whatever, just whatever you need in that relationship column put in. Character information, I've got the lie. Now, for people that don't know what the lie is, there's been some of the books I've read about storytelling have talked about working out what your character's lie is. So what in your story, at the start of your story, does your character believe about themselves that's not true? So for example, in this story, maybe Amy believes she can't have a good career and a love life. Maybe that's her lie that she believes. For example, in my current story, one of my characters believes that if they just get the girl, they'll be happy. That's their lie. And then you can write that in, whatever that may be for your character, then write in where they start the story and where they end the story. I think that's a really interesting piece of information to work out early on, because then you know where they're going to progress to. You know what you're trying to achieve, because sometimes when you've got chapter after chapter and you're trying to work all this stuff out, you kind of forget what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. So just having something simply where we start here, we finish here, you can work out the middle on your own. History of the character, if you want to get more in depth. It works for my story that I'm writing now, but you can change this if it doesn't work for you. I like to have it. You can then add a new character, do this for everyone, but if you want to put a picture in like I have, make sure the picture is the first thing there, because if I swap this round and it's key information, sometimes it doesn't work Well, is it the button that works? Sometimes if there's other stuff ahead of it, it won't work, but you should see how it goes. Yeah, so just try and keep the pictures the first thing, and then you should be okay, and the picture should come up, and then you can reposition that to anywhere. I've got that off the internet, and all I did, so if I click roses again, copy, if there's a picture you like online, paste it in, it'll take a second, and then it's there for you to do with whatever you want. You can make it smaller, you can move it around. You see where the line turns up, it'll tell you where it can go and where it can't go. But you can add pictures and whatever else you want. Something else I like about doing my character charts like this is I change the view to a table, and then when I've filled in all my information, I can see everybody's ages. So if there was another character here, I could see his age compared to hers, their body types compared to each other, their eye colours, because there'll be times when you're writing a scene, you're thinking, I've got this character and this character and this character, where you can just condense it down into, this is everybody's eye colour, this is everybody's hair colour, this is everything about height, where they live, yada yada. Interesting thing about where they live, so you could type in exactly where they live and then link that to a page in a different, in your places folder that's going to be in a min that I'll show you. So you can link all this information together, so you can just click stuff. Plot plans is the next thing that I have. Now I have used an idea by Abby, I forget her last name now, it's eluded me, and I tried to find her video last night about where she showed me her plot plan, but for the life of me I couldn't find it. So that's the YouTuber who I've borrowed this from, and I've adapted it to work for me. But it's her plot plan, and if you can find the video that I'm referring to, please send me the link and I will put it in. So I put my plot plan in the gallery setup as well. So I click on chapter 1. Again, you can have a cover, you can have an emoji, put your picture there. I've made a button as well, so you just have to click that and a fresh one will turn up. So I write the summary of the scene. I will also write who is in the chapter. Keep an eye on that. What is the point of the scene? What does it set up? Again, these are pretty self-explanatory questions. Important character moments. So that could be like, it's the first time he notices the colour of her eyes. Whatever you want it to be. So I've also got what promises are being made. So I have so the promises that have been made will obviously not make sense in the first chapter, but as you progress they will make more sense. And the promises that are being made. So if you have it that Tom sees her and he likes her, the promises that are being made is that something is going to happen here. Something with these characters is going to progress in a romantic fashion if he likes her. Whatever that may be for your scene, have that. And then obviously in the next chapter, you would write promises that have been made that there's going to be a romantic connection with these two characters. So add that into chapter 2 or whatever chapter it is relevant for, and then continue with the ones that are being made. And once they are answered, so for example, in my story now, there's a character that loses her job. And the promises that are being made, she's really going to struggle. But once that promise has been finish where she gets a job again, I cross it off and move on and talk about the other promises that I'm making in other chapters. Promises that you've made at the start of the story don't need to go all the way to the end sometimes you can cut them off shorter. It depends what works for your story. And I like to have here progress that is being made towards them. So you can actually write down the things that you are doing in your chapters to finish and give your audience the promise you've made them. So for example here you could put they make eye contact for a moment and it's spicy. Oh, we like spice. That can be something you add there. So for example here, because I know it's going to be, I think I wrote down the 22nd of the 6th of 21. I need to put that there correctly. Keep doing that. Right, so I put that there like that. But what you can do now, you've got this key information, you can highlight it here and you see this comes up as link. So you would click link, and I believe I changed that to Amy. Amy meets Tom chapter 1. So you can click on this. So then now, when I click this, it will take me to that so I can see the events that happen and you can tie all your stories together, which I find quite exciting. You can do that with characters and other places and events. World details. Now, this doesn't work for the Amy and Tom story I'm talking about, so I've just kind of kept what I have for mine. I've taken out a few bits. But for example, I have a page for my story that I'm talking about now, a page called Magic, and then I've split this down into the categories of the certain magic that's in my world. That might not work for the story you're telling, so you can get rid of this completely, or you can keep it and adapt it. So what I'd like to do when I do it is I've got air, and then I write in key information about their limits, the powers that you can do, what point it has, what effect it has on the body, blah, blah, blah. Break it up into whatever you want. And then I've got places. So for example, here I can make another page. So just do the backspace and click page. This will open up. I would put office. So once I've done that, I can go back to my character chart. Let's say if she lives at I know she doesn't live at the office, but I've just wrote the word office. So I would write office again. Can you imagine? She lives in the office. Oh, maybe that's the story. Maybe she's homeless and she has to live in the office. See, I'm coming up with ideas. Office. So type that in, let it work it out. So you see here where it says dashboard and places. So it was in the places folder. I click office. So now that you have office there, and this is where she lives at, boom, it'll take you to that page that you've just made. And then you could have loads of details like, I do like floor plans. I'll design it on Photoshop or something else and then put them in there. Again, this probably wouldn't work for the Amy Tom story, but for my story it does. I have history, so I've got events, so big events that have happened that I need to know more detail about, and then I would link that to my timeline as well. Just use that link button, type in what you're looking for, you'll find it. People. Okay, so I have people as well, so you can, again, just make a page, write about this person, anything you want. Go back. Keyword information. Now this is what I need to know, so I've split those pages into what I need. This stuff will probably not work for your story, but I've left them there anyway just to give you an idea of the things to put in that might help you. But you can literally make these pages anything that's relevant to your story. And then I have mood board. So you can literally just go on to, so I'll just put office, pick a picture, right, I like that picture, go copy paste, go to here, paste it in, pick another one, I like that dude, he looks fun, copy paste, click again, paste it in. Now your pictures are going to come like that and go down, but if you see these little dots here, drag it over, that blue line appears, then they're next to each other. And you can make this smaller, make it bigger, you can add a couple, whatever you want. Again, add pages that feel relevant to your project. It's up to you. The last thing I have on here that works for me, but again, it just depends what stage you're at. I have my read-through notes. So I have literally just read over my story again so I can change it. So I've got this tab at the top, which is general. So I put in here just general bits that I need to remember about my story. And then chapter 1. I put a to-do list because I like to go like, work on their first meeting. So things that I need to know. Close that off. If I want to have another toggle like this again, so you go backspace, toggle it in, chapter 2, right down. Again, you could just type, but I like to have my to-do list. I think it works well for what I'm doing. So fix what's wrong with chapter 2. So right there, what you need to fix about chapter 2. That then becomes a list that you can do. So say if I finish that, what works there? Work. That doesn't even look right. There you go. Work on their first meeting. So I've done that now, it ticks off, and it's like a, oh, I finished that, I've worked. Because sometimes you're doing something, you forget what it was about. Now, you can go on to colours, and I like to do it by perspective. So who's what, and you can change the colour. So let's make that pink, for example. Or if you want to change the text colour, you can. It's up to you. That's a hideous combination. Don't do that again, ever. Make it black again. So you can change that, close it up. Because I think when I've got too much information on a page about stuff I need to fix, I'm like, oh my god, don't look at me. Whereas that, I feel, is more manageable when I can just focus on scene by scene. Okay, so that is my basic Bible setup that I use on a daily basis. Now you can get the link in the description and copy this, improve it, send me little clips of yours. I'd love to see how you've changed it. This is like the other ones, just change that to whatever you want it to be. So stuff that's relevant to your story, I find to be very helpful. Add as many novels as you want. That's it really, that is what I've planned. You can even get rid of my Kakashi Sensei if it makes you feel better, if you don't want him there, but I'm keeping him there because that's where I have him. And we love Kakashi Sensei. Yeah, do what you want with this, change it completely, use it exactly as it is, whatever you want to do, just use Notion to write it however you want. There are many other things you can do with Notion. I don't know if you want me to tell you all them, so comment down below if you want me to tell you all the other things you can do with this. Is just how I actually use it for a writing Bible. I do have like another bit which is like my productivity and how I structure my day with Notion, but again, that's a different video, and if people want it, let me know. Right, I've wasted your time long enough. Please Notion away and send me, Instagram me the things, send me little screenshots. I love looking at Notion setups because I'm sad. Very sad woman. Yay. Cool Guy Club, we're in it. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this has been helpful to you. See you on the other side. See you later. Bye.